What is Dungeons & Dragons? It is a tabletop role-playing game that many people use to escape into different worlds. The best way that I can describe it is it's like sitting around at a campfire, listening to a story that you're a part of. Yes, there are a lot of rule books. Yes, there are a lot of rules. But really what it all boils down to is, can you tell a story with your friends? That's what Dungeons & Dragons is. It's got some crazy looking dice and a unique culture that continues to grow. Let's really think about it though. How do you play? The best way that I can describe playing Dungeons & Dragons is that you imagine that you're someplace else, much like Shakespeare's spoken decor. You imagine that you're in a room, for instance. So let's imagine that you're playing. And I look to you and I say, hey, you're in a room and it's dark, but you see a small strand of light coming underneath the door. What would you do? And then you say, well, I want to see that light. I want to know what it is. I want to go, what's in this room? What can I do? Can I break the door open? Is there a door? And you roll dice to see if you succeed or not, but really the only limitation is your imagination. The game can also be played like this. You seek a talisman beyond the portal of man. A dragon awaits you. What do you do? But a lot of people get a little turned off by that. I, for one, do not, but some people get turned off by that. So the world of Nabell actually started in 5th grade with a song. The song that you can actually hear at the beginning of the game, the na da 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 da. And from that song came this ridiculous story about a guy named Oscar and his magical blimp that took you to other worlds to find these hidden pyramids. but the song kept growing. It kept playing in my head. And as the years went by, I started to see this world come to life. This world with the dead and buried gods, and this terrible prophecy about what would happen if the nameless God ever returned. And it's just continued to grow. But what was really wild to me was that when I wanted to write it, I mean, I went to school for writing. I couldn't write it. And yet, when you sat down and you put me in front of an audience, players, it just started to happen. It just started to come to life. And I've told story after story after story, and I realized that they all are in the same world. And we've done this for years and years and years, almost a decade. And finally I was like, you know, with some really great inspiration from some really great groups, we decided that we could do this too. And I'm really so grateful that we're able to tell the story of Nabell in the Role Seekers campaign. And I hope you stick with it. I mean, I think that it's going to get really exciting. So, if I'm going to be completely honest, Dungeons & Dragons really changed my life. It gave me a new way of living, essentially. And I started playing games, I started hanging out with my friends more, and it really changed who I was as a person, gave me leadership skills, self-confidence, the ability to craft the stories that I wanted to tell, and the ability to problem solve, to be a psychiatrist, to be a coach, to be a life coach, to be a storyteller, to be a good friend. And I think that really what it boils down to is that as humans, there's something inside of us that wants to tell stories, just all the time. It wants to tell stories. And I love the quotes, C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, I'll misquote them, of course, but like, we're born sorcerers with words. We become sorcerers when we use words. And it's the whole concept of sub-creation, that we want to create. And what better way to do that than in the myths that we create, the mythopoeia, the stories, the legends that we create. I truly believe that we learn through stories, we heal through stories, we express ourselves through stories, and Dungeons & Dragons at its core is just storytelling. So This is a long-winded way of saying Dungeons and Dragons is a part of my life. And I hope that through this game, we can become a part of your life to tell these amazing, fantastical tales.
And one last thing, you get to dress up in awesome outfits and do a bunch of character voices like the Trash King, it's me, the Trash King, or Darius, the great powerful wizard Darius, or any number of crazy critters like Mr. Kevin back there. Mr. Kevin talked like this. So that is one of the great things about Dungeons and Dragons, to play as many characters as you can and have a great time with your friends. We'll see you on the first and third Saturday of every month.
Just spoke from the heart. I think that's, what else can we do, you know?